Well, are you getting ready? Are you getting tired of pink yet? I don't know. Maybe I'll change colors one of these days. Okay. Anyway, um, you'll remember that we talked about transitions, and the transitions are, excuse me, transitions were how we got from one slide to the other, um, and obviously, you know, you've played with transitions, you've set some transitions. You don't always need a transition. I mean, you know, there's always a transition, but you don't always need some kind of animation during the transition. If I were to play this show right now and advance through the slides, a slide can just show up and the information be there. You've seen that in some of our discussion shows. And um, once the slide is there, do you or do you not animate the stuff on it? Those are design decisions, but if you're going to do it, you need to know how to do it. And so let's talk about doing it. This is a dangerous tool. There are many designers would say don't do it at all. Absolutely don't do it at all. I'm not one of those. I think animations are important and can contribute, but they can also easily be overdone. And so the trick for you is to control them. And you're going to be tempted not to control them. So just let me say that once you start to set it up, you need to just think about how to use it for the best effect and not overuse it, so that what happens is you have your audience waiting for the next effect. They have quit paying attention to the content of the presentation, they've quit paying attention to the speaker, and they're all sitting around waiting for the next entertaining thing to happen, waiting for the next text or image or something to arrive in some fantastic way. So let's just take a look at putting them on. First thing we're going to do is make some things come on. I think what I'll do is, how do I want to do this? I think what I'll do is go to the second slide. There are a couple of objects here. We got the title text box, we have the content text box, and within the content text box I have this bulleted list, so I actually have 4 paragraphs. Yes, so I have the box, I have 4 paragraphs, I also have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 words, and I'm not going to bother to count all the letters because everything's an object and all of them can be animated. Let's go do this. Let's apply an animation, an entrance animation to the title on this slide, because we can have entrances. Once the thing's on, we can emphasize it, we can exit it, and we can choose a path for it to do all of that on. We're going to just stay with entrance and exit. So I'm going to just come up to my custom animation button. It launches my custom animation pane. Be sure that you have something selected, or else you won't be able to add an effect. If you look over here, it's grayed out now. There's nothing selected. Remember, classically in Office 07, if the object isn't selected, the tools aren't available. And so I'm going to add an effect. I'm going to add an entrance effect, and I'm going to ask you to always come to the more effects, because why the heck would you take 7 when you have 40 to choose from, right? Broken down into groups: basic, subtle, moderate, or exciting. So if we look at our 2 clients again, probably subtle for the graveyard, exciting for the NASCAR, right? Keeping in mind that we're going to always stay with that consideration. Who's the client? What's the show about? So I'm going to come up and just animate this title on. In other words, I'm going to bring it on in some way. Now, if you have that box checked, then when you click on one of these animations, it will give you a preview, and you can see what's going to happen. And we can set speed and everything. We'll talk about that in a minute. Right now, everything's kind of running slow. And so I'm going to just ask this, excuse me, I'll just use one of these basic ones to get started. And I think I'll just have it what? I think I'll have a box. And then I'm going to go to and I'm going to click OK. Unfortunately, there's no way to do multiple things. And I'm going to choose this bullet list. I'm going to go add an effect for it. I'm going to go to emphasis. I'm going to go to more effects, and this time I'm going to change it. And I'm going to come down here, and I think I'll use, what here? I think I'll use swish. Because swish has some interesting effect to it. It allows you to do an awful lot in terms of controlling the objects that come along. And I'm going to say, OK. Now, I've brought them on, and I can take them off. I just choose the exit. I go find what I want to use. I remember that I boxed it in. Maybe I can find a way to bring it out and what should I say? Take it off the slide and think about what it is I'm doing when I'm doing that. So I'm going to I boxed in. I guess what I'll do is box it off. Sort of like I brought it in one way, I'll bring it out another way. Sorry. I'm going to add my exit. And this time I think, how do I want it off? I think I'll go ahead and... no, I don't like that. I think I'll just fold it out. Okay. So I've got them on. I've got them off. I'm going to play the slide right now. I do that from down here. Now this is just going to play this one slide. Note that for right now, oops, sorry, I moved my mouse. And I'll make you sit through it. I got to sit through it. We'll just burn up some of this valuable 10-minute limitation on my movie while this happens. And notice that right now the characters are coming on one at a time, and that the whole process is happening, well, technically at this point, fast, very fast indeed. Okay, so that's how to apply or begin this whole transition experience. Once again, a bazillion ways to do it. Your thing is to play. In the next movie, I'm going to talk about controlling the timing of all of this, and it's critical stuff. So I want to be able to have all the time, the whole 10-minute thing, to be able to do that. Talk to you later. Thanks for listening.